New comic book day is right around the corner, so let's take a look at the books on my pull list. Welcome back to Comics Are Dope. I'm BJ Kicks, and this is the pull list. Every week, I take a look at all the books coming out. I'll tell you what's on my pull list, what's on the chopping block, and we'll talk about some new #1 series that are on the radar for this week of new comic releases, starting on September 18th, 2024. So this Wednesday, I'll be walking into my shop, Fight or Flight Comics in Raleigh, North Carolina. You know, the one on Capitol near Triangle Town Center. I'm going to be walking in there and grabbing all of these books, starting with the book that I am most excited about this week. That is a brand new from Image Comics. This is The Moon is Following Us, issue #1. This is written by Daniel Warren Johnson with art by both Daniel Warren Johnson and Riley Rossmo. Now, Riley Rossmo is an artist whose work I'm familiar with from, I want to say he did a Batgirls series, and then he did a Harley Quinn series a little while back. Both of those, I felt like the art was just a little bit too stylized for my sort of traditional superhero tastes. But that was actually even before I became a fan of Daniel Warren Johnson. And now I can appreciate some super stylized art. But here's the hook of this series for me. This is a story about two parents who their 6-year-old daughter is basically abducted by some sort of cosmic entity that they don't understand. And so now they're going on a mission to get their daughter back. And there's two things about this pitch that are like, sign me up right now. And that is Daniel Warren Johnson and family. That's it. That's all it took for me. So I'm very excited about this series. Like I said, the two of them having sort of doing double duties on the art. My understanding is that Riley's doing like the future state stuff and Daniel Warren Johnson is doing do I have to say his whole name every time? Daniel is doing like flashback sequences. I might have that mixed up, but you can even tell from some of the art for the covers of the series that there's like a sort of back then vibe and a future vibe. And I'm excited to see what that ends up looking like. So The Moon is Following Us, issue #1 is the series that I am most excited about this week. It's got a cover price of $3.99. And since Riley's going to be handling the bulk of the interior on the series, I'm going to go with the Daniel Warren Johnson cover B each time out. So there we go. Since we're starting with the indies, I figured I'd make it purple for my man Skip and Tosh. But we're going to keep going with more independent, smaller press, non-big two stuff that's on the pull list this week. So let's keep it going with Darkwing Duck, Negaduck, issue #8. This one's from Dynamite Entertainment. And if I'm honest, I did not know that Darkwing Duck, Negaduck from Jeff Parker's writing it. I can't remember who's drawing it, but the point is, I thought that series ended at 7. I didn't know they'd extended it to an 8th issue. And also issue 7, I feel like just came out. Anyway, the point is the series is about to be over and I'm excited to have it all in one shot so I could binge it. But issue #8 is out this week with a cover price of $3.99. I'm grabbing cover A. Next up, also from Dynamite Entertainment, this is the Powerpuff Girls, issue #3. The Powerpuff Girls is written by Kelly Thompson. Art on it is by Paulina Ganusho, I think is how you say her name, who, by the way, is going to be taking over as the series writer starting with next month's issue 4. This issue is going to give us a debut of a brand new villain who apparently Kelly Thompson invented as a part of like a fan fiction or a pitch for like some kind of TV show revival or something that never happened. So interesting stuff. She's definitely going to leave her mark on the series with a bang. I really enjoyed the last issue with Mojo Jojo trying to enter the Powerpuff Girls' dreams to ruin their lives. And of course, things don't go his way. But anyway, really cool. Powerpuff Girls, I'm enjoying it. It's a nice little laid back thing that I can read with my kids. So cover price on that is $4.99. I'm grabbing cover A. And the next book on the indie pull list for me this week is kind of a maybe list contender, but I felt like it deserved top billing. So The Resurgence of the Valiant Universe, issue #1 is out this week. Now, if you missed my interview with writers Fred Van Lente and AJ Ampadu, they came to talk to us and you about the resurgence of the Valiant universe, what their role in it has been, what they enjoyed about writing it. All you need to know is that this is the big event that is basically aiming to bring the Valiant universe back to sort of stupid ads on League of Comic Geeks. I was saying this is the series that basically aims to bring Valiant comics back to like the forefront of, top of mind consciousness in the comic book space. So they've been slowly inching toward this for the better part of 2024. And now this is the sort of big jumping in point in case you haven't been following the different Valiant titles. So we had a Roku versus Ninjak series. Venditti had an Exo Manowar series not too long ago. So there's a lot of things that have been happening, but this is a great point to jump in on. I got to preview the first issue, and I feel like I don't know enough about all the characters to have really enjoyed it, but I will say I loved the art, and I love how there was so much different art in the issue. So that was really cool. I'm going to check it out. Cover price on it is $4.99. I'm grabbing cover A. Next up on the pull list is Thundercats issue number 8. Thundercats written by Declan Shalvey with art by Drew Moss. And I officially think I'm behind on this series. I couldn't tell you what happened in issue 7. Did I read it? I really don't remember. That's bad. I should drop some titles. This happens every week. There's some title that I'm like, I don't remember what happened in this book. Cover price on Thundercats number 8, though, is $4.99. I'm grabbing cover A. And the last book on my indie comics pull list this week is The Walking Dead Deluxe, issue number 97. Now, this is a series that I'm not even attempting to read all the way. I just want to own The Walking Dead in color. It looks really good every time I thumb through it. And so it's just taking up its own short box in the closet. But issue 97 out this week. Cover price is $3.99. I'm grabbing cover A. And that's it. Those are the indie books on my pull list this week. As long as I stick to the list, those are going to cost me $27. So a heavy indie week this week. Let's go ahead and move over to the distinguished competition. Let's see what's happening at DC Comics. They've got 2 books on the pull list this week, both of which are Absolute Power tie-ins. And before we even get into the books, it's crazy because I'm not big on tie-ins to events. The ones that I've read just as part of incidentally collecting, the series I was already subscribed to, wasn't a big fan of. But at the same time, I'm also not a fan of the fact of how short Absolute Power is. We're 3 issues in, it's a 4-issue miniseries, and I'm like, dang, there is so much they could have done with this. And chances are all the stuff that I'm complaining that they could have done was done in the tie-ins. So bring on the Absolute Power Omnibus so I can get the full event. Anyway, Superman, issue number 18. That's the first one we're talking about. And I haven't read any of the Superman Absolute Power tie-ins. So that's all I can say. Josh Williamson is on this, and I believe Jamal Campbell is on art, which is a good enough reason to read it, even though it's a tie-in. But I just haven't made the time for it. $4.99 is the cover price on that one. Next up is Wonder Woman, issue number 13. Written by Tom King, also an Absolute Power tie-in. I was really invested in the Sovereign storyline that Wonder Woman had going in to all this, and presumably that they'll continue with when this event is over. And it wasn't bad. It just wasn't, I don't know. There's been a bunch of stuff going on Themyscira, though, so I'm assuming this tie-in will probably be a little bit better than the last tie-in. So Wonder Woman, issue 13. Cover price on it is $4.99. I'm grabbing cover A. Those are the 2 DC books on the pull list. If I sound enthusiastic about them, it's because I'm very enthusiastic about them. I'm just ready for October. I'm ready for this all-in and absolute stuff. That's the stuff I'm really excited about, and we'll talk about that in just a few short weeks. Cover price on all my DC books this week will be $10. Now, let's skip over to the House of Ideas and see what they've got going on. Over at Marvel Comics, we've got 4 books on the pull list. And we're going to start off with the Avengers issue number 18. Now, Jed McKay's Avengers with art by Valerio Schiti, colors by Brian Valenza, who is got to be top 2 or 3 colorists in comics. If I got to vote based on what I'm seeing in right now, Alejandro Sanchez, Brian Valenza. Tamara Bonvillain's really good on The World's Finest stuff. She hasn't been on there in a while. But anyway, those might be my top three, no particular order. But Avengers. I was not pulling Avengers until issue 17, and I only pulled it because they added Storm to the team. There wasn't a whole lot of action in that issue 17. It looked cool, but really all we got in that issue was Sam Wilson, Captain America, recruiting Storm onto the team, and then they set up the big threat. And the big threat reminds me of my issue with Avengers. Much like the Kang story arc that started this book, I do not care about the villains. The big bad in this coming up issue or story arc is Hyperion, who was on the Squadron Supreme, which I don't really know much about. I don't know, man. I don't know who the Avengers need to fight for me to care about them, but whatever. We'll see. We'll see how things go. Again, Storm versus Hyperion. Cover price on this, $3.99. I'm grabbing cover A. Next up, a book I'm actually excited for. This is the Deathlock 50th Anniversary Special, issue number 1. It's a one-shot. I don't know why it needs a number, but the Deathlock 50th Anniversary Special has 2 stories. The first story is written by Christopher Priest with art by Dennis Cowan. And if you know me, then you know why I'm excited about the book. That's all that needs to be said. Christopher Priest with Dennis Cowan on art, and they're drawing and writing Deathlock. Now, important to note, this is the Luther Manning Deathlock, so like the OG Deathlock, not the Michael Collins Deathlock that was created by Dwayne McDuffie. And I believe Dennis Cowan drew him as well. But anyway, the point is, it's Christopher Priest and Dennis Cowan on a Marvel comic. When's the last time you saw Dennis Cowan draw anything for Marvel? I'll wait. Cover price on that, $4.99. I'm grabbing cover A, which, by the way, is by Ken Lashley, who, besides Dennis Cowan right there, he's got the most art on my wall. So I was going to go with the Dennis Cowan cover B, but I feel like it's cool to have Ken Lashley on the cover and that just one book encapsulate all of the artists that are on my wall in my office. Anyway, that's it. Enough talking about that. Next up on the pull list is Ultimate X-Men issue number 7, written and drawn by Peach Momoko or Momoko. I've heard it both ways, so I said it both ways. Somebody will correct me at some point. You know what's crazy? This book, for as much like crap as people give it, it's consistently in the top 5 sellers, at least according to ICV2, which I believe is surveying Comic Hub, which is just a fraction of the retailers out there. But the point is, people clearly don't hate it as much as they claim to hate it. So I'm enjoying it. Cover price on issue 7 is $4.99. I'm grabbing cover A. And the last book on the pull list for me this week is X-Men issue number 4. X-Men written by Jed McKay, art by Ryan Stegman. The art is growing on me a little bit more. The story is fine. I don't know, man. Something about this new era of X titles, with the overwhelming exception of X-Force and Uncanny X-Men, just hasn't really felt like my vibe. And I don't know how much longer I'm going to stick with most of it. But gosh, I sound so pessimistic in my choices this week. I promise I love comics, guys. Cover price on this one is $4.99. And if for no other reason, you can be excited because this cover features the Juggernaut. You know I can't finish that. Cover price is $4.99. I'm grabbing cover A. And that's it. Those are the Marvel books on my pull list this week. As long as I stick to the list, stick to my budget, those are going to cost me $19. And that means that my grand total this week is $56. That means I'm over budget. I'm over budget by one book. So if I had to choose one book off of this list not to buy, it's probably going to be the Resurgence of the Valiant universe. But the art in that book is so good. And I've never really read any Valiant books. I've only read like a few of their most recent titles, The Archer and Armstrong, and a little bit of Ninjak. So I'm curious about it, but budgets are limited. I only got $50. What to do? What to do? What decisions are you making this week? Let me know in the comments down below. Speaking of decisions, we got a few books that are brand new series debuts that perhaps should be on your radar. Let's count them off. First up, Batman, The Long Halloween, The Last Halloween, issue number 0. That's the whole title. Batman The Long Halloween, The Last Halloween, issue 0. You'll be happy to know, if you've been collecting Batman comics for quite a while, this is simply a reprint of the Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale Batman Long Halloween special that was printed back in 2021. So if you already have it, you don't need this 0 issue unless you just want the new trade dress and branding or whatever, since they are rolling that out or spinning that out into a brand new maxi series with art by a who's who of Tim Sale's favorite artists, including Chris Samnee on issue 9. So that's going to be fun. But if you, like me, own the 2021 special, there's no need to buy this one. But if you are also like me and have no idea where you put that issue or don't want to dig it out of a short box, then go ahead and grab it. Cover price is $3.99. Next up, also from DC Comics, Multiversity Collision Course, issue number 1. This is one of those video game tie-in books that I would normally skip, completely skip. But this one's written by Brian Miller with art by John Samariva, which I think I'm saying his name correctly. I first heard of that guy. He does a bunch of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles stuff, the Saturday Morning Adventures with IDW. But I first saw his work when he did The Neverlanders, which was an original graphic novel aimed at young adults with writer Tom Taylor. And his art in that book was so good that I'm like, maybe I'll buy this video game tie-in book just to see him draw Superman and Bugs Bunny in the same comic book. So, yeah, fun thing. $4.99 on that one. And next up, the last book on my radar this week is from IDW. This is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Nation, issue number 1. This is an anthology series of sorts. Basically, every issue is going to have 2 stories in it. There's like an A story that follows an ongoing plot thread and a B story that might be like a 1 or 2 parter, and then they'll move on to another B story in the next couple. The point is, this book, I got to read a preview of this one a while back, and there's a story featuring Raphael in it, and there's also a story featuring Casey Jones. The Casey Jones story is the one to subscribe for, but I remember the Raphael story was pretty good too. I don't know where this sits in the current TMNT continuity. Like, are these just one-off tales at any point in the timeline? Are they going to coincide with the ongoing Turtles that just launched at issue 1? I don't know. And so that's why I don't know if it's like a super strong recommend. But if you love the Turtles and you love what's happening, this is just another sort of branch on the tree that you can follow if you just don't have enough Turtles in your life. Cover price on that one is $5.99. Cool anthology though. And that's it. Those are the books that are on my radar this week. Lots of books coming out. I feel like we are on a bit of a lull, at least on the DC side, going into October and the Absolute Power finale and the DC All-In special, like all that stuff. But it feels like until that stuff happens, we're kind of just like in a holding pattern, which doesn't feel great as a buyer of weekly comics. But in trade, all this stuff will read great. So anyway, let me know what you're excited for in the comments down below. Join us on Facebook or in our Discord community if you want to talk comics a little bit more often, like all the time. We're in there all the time. Welcome to the new members. So join us. Links in the description down below. I'll see you guys in another video soon. Till then, stay safe, stay awesome, and read something dope today. Peace.